polo.
You see him, right?
I see him. New polos. Don't be showing love.
Yeah, man.
Wow. In the building. Love that for
What's
him.
up? What's up,
Um,
everyone?
What's up?
yeah. Yo, I feel like we had a long layover, man. It's like, we was dropping albums nonstop consistently, and
We
then
had a
all of a
summer
sudden,
hiatus.
like, yeah, we call it a summer hiatus, or we had an album that didn't go platinum, and we just decided that we all wanted to go solo or something. I don't know. So,
Yeah.
real quick, catch us up, man. Steve, how you doing? Everything good?
Everything is good. Yesterday was the first day of school here in New York City. And so I finally have a home office that's quiet without two boys yelling and fighting at each other. So I'm feeling good
Yeah.
right now.
Yeah, man. That's amazing. G, how you doing, man? I feel like I just saw you.
Yeah, just saw you. I'm good, man. I'm summer also wrapping up, but the highlight for me was last night I went to see T-Pain at Radio City.
Yo, and you know what's crazy? You know what's crazy, Steve? I got an invite, bro, and I
You got
couldn't make
him?
it. I got an invite, and I couldn't make it, man. I'm so disappointed in myself that I wasn't able to pull that off. But yo, I'm glad you had fun, man.
Yeah,
That's dope. That's dope.
Sounds like an
I'm waiting
amazing time.
I'm waiting for him to come up with some tickets for that Bad Bunny. Ready to go to Puerto Rico. Let's go.
There it
love
is.
that.
Yeah. All right. So real quick, man. Today we're talking about this house proposal that you sent over, man. This looks dangerous, bro. This looks dangerous, sketchy, and all the things, right? And so, kind of want to like zone in on a couple things that are meaningful to K-12, and then we can talk about like the focus on higher ed and how that's going to be difficult for folks in higher ed too. So specifically zoning in on Title I. Like Title I funding is essentially, how marginalized school districts, underserved school districts get additional funding in order to compete with their suburban peers. And so to say, hey, we're going to take $4.7 billion and decrease how marginalized students are receiving instruction and supplies, etc. It seems like this is a direct assault on marginalized communities, man. What do y'all think? Don't let the cat hold your tongue.
I mean, this is how we're gonna, we come back from like a month-long break and gotta hit them with the
jump back in the fire.
Yeah.
Yo, that's not what I wanted to start with. Trust me. But I wanted to get the seriousness out before we got the jokes in.
No, I mean, listen. I mean, you're right. This is crazy, and I think when you think about, you combine this with, $50 million cut to the Office of Civil Rights. You combine like this. These things are related, right, in a very clear and logical way, and it is at best, a decision to ignore marginalized communities, and at worst, an attack on marginalized communities.
Yeah.
Thoughts? I think it's like the thing that I'm like trying to understand is how these decreases are supposed to either increase the amount of support that the constituents receive, or otherwise like change their outcomes, because this current administration talks so much about like waste, fraud, and abuse, and like wanting to like shrink these different governmental agencies and entities, but there isn't the kind of other side of that like will kind of guarantee or ensure a more efficient use of funds, or a way to make sure that families and students that rely on these funds aren't going to have a change in their experience, or some other kind of positive benefit. You never see that part. It's just cutting for cutting's sake, and it's really frustrating.
Bro, you know what makes me nervous about this whole situation, right? There's a ton of things on this spreadsheet right here that make me nervous, but two in particular are the state assessments piece. like to eliminate state assessments, right? That's basically saying like, hey, we don't care how you guys perform or whatever. Like, we don't want to, like, nothing to see here. Like, we don't care. We don't care if you're failing or whatever. And like, that may be okay for communities that are overly resourced, right? So like, if you are not worried about, test prep, you're not worried about how your kids are gonna show up for the ACT, SAT, and all the things that are like, college prep type things, getting your communities ready to supersede income levels in which they are currently on, then it's like, that makes sense for us to eliminate assessments. Like, we don't need to have comparative data. Like, who cares what's happening in Idaho and Iowa and like all the things, right? So like, we don't need to have those connected tissues. But for marginalized communities that are trying to say, hey, we want to make sure that we have the right access, the right things in place in order to have those thoughtful conversations about how college can change lives. Like, this is something that's just totally different, bro. This is dangerous.
Yeah, and so ESSA requires that there to be annual statewide assessments, but only if Congress appropriates a minimum amount. So the House bill would, in fact, like, remove the requirement for federal testing, not just the dollars, but the requirement would go away for federal for state testing, because the dollars went away, right? This is that unfunded mandate structure, and so it is not just the money's gone, but actually the requirement is gone if the money goes.
Yeah, but then you'll have some outside of the box thinking states that really care about this stuff.
Yeah.
Probably blue states. Probably not
New
a lot
York,
of red states.
New York, Massachusetts, California. They're not gonna stop their assessment approve, right? It's too important. New York's not getting rid of the regions. It's not gonna happen.
Well, actually, they kind of are. They've made some pathways to talk about just like how I forget what they're calling the portrait of a graduate, which I think is like a watered down version of things, so that they can make people that are in suburban counties in New York feel good about themselves, in my opinion.
Says the man living in a suburban county in New York.
Yeah, but I'm not trying to take away the regions. I mean, I think that those things are important. Even though, like, the regions the regions that they're taking now is not the same regions that we took.
Yeah. No, it's not the same regions we took, and we had to take all of them.
Yes,
I got my Regents diploma. I hang that with pride. I don't hang it anywhere, but I have with pride.
But it's a prideful thing, right? Like, nowadays, like, even with an advanced Regents, I'm like, your advanced Regents diploma does not hold water compared to my regular Regents diploma.
And I wonder how the state assessment sort of approach then also starts to impact our ability to do, national and international comparisons. Like, there's a whole lot of like question here around assessments and our ability to sort of track, and how much of this will just end up as, block grants to states.
Well, that's a good question. That's a good assessment as well. But then also, there's another thing that brings me pause with this whole thing, man. It's just like a federal work study. I remember that being like a lifeline for me. And being able to being a student athlete, and then also having the opportunity to work study and have some change in my pocket, that meant the world in terms of being able to buy food when the cafeteria food wasn't hitting. It's just it's human to want students to be able to have work study.
And it's a double impact, right? So there's the side you talk about, right? There's the financial side of that, right? This is how a lot of people are able to pay for college and stay in college and live in college. And for many students in the communities we care most about, this is some of the first real work experience they get to put on their resumes.
Absolutely.
That's professionalized, right? So now they're going to be graduating, less likely to have relevant work experience on those resumes, and that hurts them potentially in that first job out of college, right? This is the first time they can move out of a fast food job or something else, to like an administrative job, to an office job, to something that is potentially closer to a professionalized role. that they then can put in their resume. And so there are pieces here that students lose. They lose the resume, they lose the experience, right? That's really important, work experience for students as they graduate from college and enter the workforce. And so there's a lot of layers here, I think, to the federal work study. The first, obviously, is the financial one, but then there's sort of downstream implications for, like, everyone who goes to college because they want a good job. And so this was part of that equation, and it's less likely now.
Yeah, the one thing that I can say, because we always go into these situations like gloom and doom. The one positive that I see, I mean, there's a couple positives that have no change, but the one positive that I see is that they are going to continue to fund Head Start. And so Head Start for most people, if you have access to it, is one of the most invaluable tools in terms of getting you on the trajectory to do really big things and really good things in education, because it's exposing you early to some rigor, besides sitting in front of Mima's TV and
babysitter, right? And the same thing with Pell Grants, right? The fact that they left the maximum Pell Grant alone, I think, is really, really positive. And I think, those are two things that I bet that, poll well both in blue states and in red states, right? That's why it was left alone. Those are really important things. Communities across the country love Head Start. Communities across the country think that the Pell Grant is an important way for students to earn a degree. And so, like, those are things that I think have more bipartisan support. And that's probably why we're seeing them stay as strong across both bills as we are.
Yeah, but a common misconception with Title I is that people think that Title I is only for urban schools, but rural schools, which have poor white students, also have access to Title I funding as well. And so it's essentially, an assault on poor people. With regards to just this escape from Title I. So, man, really hurtful to see this. And then this the Supplemental Education Opportunity Grant. Yeah, that's EOP.
Yeah. That's sort of the federal supporting of those types of things. Yeah.
And so, bro, do you know how valuable, invaluable EOP programs or SEOG programs are to underserved populations, bro? It's like if you go to college, you're basically going to college for free. And you're a first gen. Most people that go through EOP are like first gen.
I think that I think what we are seeing, right, is this belief. I think we're seeing this narrative that keeps happening that, like, the college degree isn't worth what it used to. You pay too much for it, and so we're starting to hear about all these alternative pathways. And I think it's great. I think there should be lots of different pathways for students once they graduate high school to find themselves social and economic mobility. Everyone is entitled to a job, right? And a good and a well-paying job. And so, but I think what we're seeing is sort of this reshift from, like, supporting higher ed to supporting, licensure programs and credential programs. And I think I want those programs to be funded, but not at the expense of funding higher ed, because if a student wants to get a bachelor's degree or an associate's degree, they should be able to do that, just like if a student wants to become, a carpenter or a plumber's apprentice, or wants to get both of those paths should be available to every student who graduates high school. And we shouldn't be sort of biasing one versus the other. And right now we're biasing away from higher ed towards the other. And I think it's going to have an impact on our future economy, frankly.
Yeah, actually, we were having a thoughtful and engaging conversation last night in one of my graduate classes, and we were talking about this pathway of trade, trade schools, right? So, like, trade schools are getting sexy again, and I'm not opposed to that, because there's a pathway for a good life in terms of going to a trade school, But I don't think, when I think about trade schools and I think about college, I don't compare them to one another. I think that they can. I live in a world where I feel like they can coexist. Right?
I think they can too.
Yeah, I feel like there's enough jobs for the American people to where you can do both. You can be successful at both, and we need to create a multitude of pathways in order for folks to have access to the life that they want.
And the reality is that what's great about a lot of those, licensure programs, certificate programs, and apprenticeship programs that are out there is that they help start students off with great first jobs, right? And that's great. The reality is what I want for students, I'll use an I statement here, is I want them to have great first careers. And so it's not just that first job, but it's that second job. And so what happens is that even with a lot of those programs, continuing education is needed to get that second job, to get promoted or to sort of raise the ranks. And so like education is part of the whole thing. So you're right. It's all one and the same, right? They're all connected deeply. We need to be treating them that way and not sort of what I'm afraid of is that we're going to start back in the days funneling students to like, when I was in school, it's like these students take wood shop. These students take, metal shop. These students go to AP classes, and we decided for students what that pathway was, and that really scares me.
Yeah, no, absolutely, because then the inherent biases that exist when people, right? Yeah, you start making these decisions based off of skin color. You start making these decisions, I don't know.
I'm surprised I survived wood shop and I still have all 10 fingers and toes because I was a hot mess in wood shop.
You and me both, man. Some of the things that I had to build in order to bring home to my mom, I was just like, I don't really want to bring her. This is not my best. This is not my best work right here.
This is not the intelligence that I was gifted with.
No, not at all, man. This is not how I want you to see me. And like, keepsakes, parents try to keep them for the rest of your life. I was like, I don't want to be remembered by this heart that looks square.
I have a mirror holder I made in 8th grade that is mad suspect.
Yeah. All right, bro. All right. So we got to the serious stuff, right? We did the serious stuff. The stuff is out of the way, bro. But like, we got to
class, and I don't care what anybody says. Call me a hater, call me bitter, call me jealous. I don't give a fuck. They would not be in her class. At first, I was like, I think y'all are just pushing it a little bit. But it's like her outfits progressively get worse and worse and worse. It's giving that you're not there to teach. You're there to accessorize and have photo shoots every damn day. Because why is you posted up on the bus like it's the club wall in 2002? And as the mother of 2 18 girls, do y'all know how hard it is? I be fighting for my life to get my girls to just stay kids, okay? Because the way y'all be letting y'all little girls run around here, mine could never. But now I got to send my 13-year-old to a class, and you got your ass jiggling every which way every time you take a step. You standing out on the hall greeting these kids with your Chanel hanging. Why do you need to have your Chanel and your Prada as an accessory when you're greeting the kids coming into your classroom? Or any purse for that matter. Why is it not already locked up in your desk? I don't understand. That alone gives me vibes that you're in competition with these kids, and it's weird as fuck to me. I see mostly people concerned about her teaching corny little teenage boys, but my thing is preteen girls are already fighting for their life, trying to find their confidence, trying to fit in, trying to figure out who they are, and then they got to sit in the class in front of Miss BBL 3000 with her Chanel on display while she's welcoming people into class. That is not the example that I want set for my daughters personally. Nothing wrong with BBLs, nothing wrong with the girl's body. She's a beautiful woman. I am not negating that fact at all, but she's proven that she can dress appropriately without all her goodness jiggling all around the classroom. I'm sorry, like this, anyone who does not see an issue with this, you are a part of the problem. I don't care. And then you posting videos and got these kids' names and their homework all on social media. No. That your videos get like millions of views, and you're literally posting clips that have these kids' names on their assignments. Girl, find your priorities, because teaching clearly is not one.
Bro, so when I saw this, 2002. Somebody hit me up, right, and they were like, "Hey, you got to talk about this, right?" And so I'm like, "All right, how can we do this in a way that's responsible, in a way that like doesn't like, So you have a teenage son, right? And so
I have a teenage son.
you have a teenage son. I have a 11-year-old daughter, right? And so I'm gonna look at it from the perspective similar to the perspective that she just talked about.
Yeah.
And so, she is absolutely right. Like, parents are out here fighting for their lives in terms of like creating these avenues to where there's self-love, creating these avenues to where like little girls are respecting themselves or whatever. And like I say this to my baby all the time. I'm like, I want you to be a baby for as long as you can be a baby.
Yeah.
Right. And so I don't want you out here like feeling like you need to be adultified or you need to show up a certain way. I want you to be who you want to be. Right. And I want to give you the time and space to be a child, because we see this over adultification of kids all the time, especially in marginalized communities. Right. And so I guess my question is, how do I keep my baby a baby for as long as humanly possible? And does subjecting her to teachers like this, whose focus is not necessarily on teaching, but on being popular, being viral, being all the things, right? Like, how do we keep our kids?
Yeah, I mean, I think, look, and I don't know this young woman. I don't know if she might be the best teacher. She might be the best teacher in the world.
Could be, yeah.
But what I can say is, we have a hard enough time keeping our students to pay attention to learning in the world, right? Yeah. Why would we add distraction to that, right? And so for me, I think it's right. Like, I have a young son, and I want to keep him, an innocent 15-year-old as long as I can. And goodness knows that's hard enough with cell phones and social media and peer groups and everything that's going on. TV commercials will be wilding, right? Like, and I'm trying to do everything I can. And the idea of sending him into an environment where he is now going to be distracted, and as a 15-year-old, probably uncomfortable, right, with what's happening in that classroom, it just feels to me like we're not setting the children up for success in that learning environment if we create distracting learning environments, right?
Yeah, but the counter to that, right, is that as a woman, she should be able to show up and wear whatever she wants to wear, right? And so nobody's dismissing that, right? Nobody's saying that, hey, she shouldn't be able to wear whatever she wants to wear, like she's beautiful, all the things, right? Nobody's saying anything anti against her. But what I'm saying is that if I had a choice, I wouldn't choose to put my kid in that class, because I see the types of distractions that would cause, and I see the longevity of the harm that could cause.
Yeah, but I mean, look, if we flipped it around and this was a male teacher, right? And
can't do that.
But I'm saying if we flipped it, but my point is that, like, inappropriate. Like, I want people to be who they are, and now your woman should be able to dress however she wants. But as a parent, I should be able to also choose the type of learning environment I want my child to be in, right? And so, like, I'm going to be like, this is regardless of what happens in that classroom. And I think this is part of the fight that has sparked what we've talked about in the first part of this, which is like parents' rights in the education system, right? And where parents get to play in the space and what we allow our children to be exposed to, right? And how much of that is organized by what the system says versus as the choice I have. And so I'm much more like, as an independent, as a parent, I should be able to be like, nope, not this classroom. And that's fine, right? Yeah. I don't want the system telling me, no, that you have no choice. This is the only thing you have.
You know what you just did? You just made a commercial for school choice. No,
it is. And look, and I'm gonna be real. There was a long time in my professional career in education where I was opposed to charter schools, and I was opposed to school choice for a long time, right? For all the reasons why folks are opposed to those things. And then what I realized was I had a privilege to send my child to wherever I wanted to send my child. And I was like, that don't make no sense to me. Until we can fix public schools, we need to give parents options. And that's why these options are important to me, right? It is the Band-Aid in between when we can have great and powerful public schools.
Agreed. And everything that young lady said in terms of fighting for her life and kids fighting for their lives, it's relevant to her and she's at like 1.3 million views on TikTok. So I'm guessing that that argument is relevant to a lot of people that are hearing it.
I think the bigger issue here is, and I understand the irony of me saying this as you and I are doing a podcast, but like, why everybody gotta be sure? Why everybody gotta have a thing on the thing, right? Like, if you're a teacher, why you like teach, right? Like if you want to be an influencer, be an influencer. Like, but like that's it. Like, we do this because this is fun and we enjoy it, right? But and I know that.
Why you getting mad at people for multitasking? What's going on? Because I guess the counter argument to that is teachers don't pay enough, and so there's things that I need to do in order to make sure that
I said I understand the irony of what I'm saying as you and I are talking. It is not lost on me what I'm saying is, but I feel like the reality is, why do we have to have a system where people feel like they need the side hustle to live?
Yeah,
right.
That's real.
And like, we shouldn't have to have a society where people feel like they need 2-3 jobs just to be able to give their families the comforts that they deserve.
Agreed, 1000%. So I think last up is that I don't know if you saw this, but history was made in week 1, man. So I think it was 16,
that's so dope.
16 black quarterbacks that are starting in week 1, right? I feel like somebody said something. Somebody said 15. They said Patrick Mahomes shouldn't count, and and that's living with me.
I'm gonna be quiet. I'm not saying a word.
That's living in my head right now. So I want to shout out all of these QBs, man, and I want to take us back to the Doug Williams and like the people that again had to fight for their NFL careers, had to fight for their lives in terms of being black, being racialized. And having to go through all the things in terms of having their intelligence questioned, in terms of having their assessment, the Wonderlic assessments evaluated, and all the things that they had to go through in order for us to now be with basically half of the league that has black quarterbacks now. This is progress.
It is progress. Although I want to ask the Raiders, Geno Smith for real? I've seen that.
Geno was a Pro Bowler last year, man. Geno is not. He's not the Geno that was on the Jets.
I don't know, but he will always be the Geno that was on the Jets for me.
Yes, I totally understand that. I get it. Yeah. So, Brody, we up on time, man. Final thoughts. How you feeling?
Final thoughts. Just excited about the school year getting kicked off and doing the things that we love to do. It's real busy, but for all y'all youngsters out there finally starting school in New York City, I hope you have a great year, and I hope your teachers pour into you everything you need that needs to be poured into you so that you can be successful humans.
Yeah, love that, bro. So I guess my final thought is I'm seeing this New York City mayoral race. And it's bringing into question a whole lot of things, and so I won't expound. I won't expound to the point. I am not turning socialist on anybody. I am a practical. I'm a practical person. I do not believe that my tax dollars should have to fund most things that are probably going to be funded, but I understand that there needs to be a political revolution in order to recenter the way that things are now. And so I am willing to accept these candidates that are in action, and I would be willing to accept these socialist candidates only to bring things back to recenter how things currently are. With what's in the Oval Office. And so I do understand that there needs to be drastic measures that need to be taken. It can't just be the centrist democratic approach in order to recenter things so that we can get back to like what I feel is normal.
We need ideas, and everyone's got them.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
We need ideas.
All right, so we back, man. Summer's over, and so we'll see y'all next week.
What did you want to wear, everybody?
Yeah, don't do that.